Hi, my name is Max Heimer. I'm 15 years old from Taylor, Missouri, and I exhibited the 2024 Grand Champion Purebred Gilt at the Arizona National. I've always been more of a Gilt guy. I've always felt like they've had a better personality, and after their show career is done, they get to stick around the farm, and I get to see them develop into sows and maybe even show their offspring later on, which that's pretty cool. My biggest personal growth is how I take losses and how I learn and move on from them. They're going to happen, and I've learned to kind of accept that and learn and grow from that. Someone I looked up to is my father. He's always been there for me, whether it was a high or a low in my showing career, my athletic career. You know, he's always been there to comfort me or give me some support. My show day ritual, I would say, is I always try to drink a Pepsi before I go. I don't know why, it's just always a superstition I've had, whether it was showing livestock or athletics. I do get nervous when I show, and it's very obvious. I start to like hop around and my face goes blank, and it just kind of looks like I don't know what I'm doing. And then when I get in the ring, obviously I dial it in, but up to that point I look like a first timer. The Arizona National is always a show that I've held very dearly in my heart because I was fortunate enough to go there a lot when I was little. It was good to go back. It had been a couple years. The show is great. They do a great job of advertising and promoting the youth especially, which is something that I don't think other shows do as well as the Arizona National. The Gilt I won with, she didn't really have a name, if I'm going to be completely honest, because she was kind of a late bloomer. When she was little, she absolutely hated me. But once she did get broke, we kind of became best friends, and she was always one that I walked first. When it came down to it, when I got nervous, there was no pig I felt more comfortable with in the ring than her. I was in one of the bigger classes of the Hampshire Gilt show that day. We had bred a couple that were there that were supposed to be really good, and they were bigger and fluffier and all these other things. I was pretty nervous going into class. I didn't think I'd make it out my class, to be honest with you. When I got called to win the class, I was pretty excited about it. I was probably more nervous for the breed drive than my class. Just looking at the competition, I mean, these Gilts had bigger legs, they were more hairier. I think where mine stood out was she was so fresh for how old she was, and I think that's really a testament to how hard me and my family have worked on skin and hair and just getting them out there to the ring. She went out there and I got called, and it was a good time. I was really excited about it. I just remember like the look on my face being so surprised. Apparently I like kind of shook my head and then went over and shook his hand, and I about burst into tears in the ring, but I waited till I got out for that. Don't be so hard on yourself. I mean, once you step in the ring, it's pretty well out of your hands on what you can do besides doing what you do best, and that's driving your pig around and making them look good. But don't be so hard on yourself, especially when losses come. You still got to find a way to push through and to learn from them. Showing livestock means the world to me because it's what my whole life is centered around. My whole daily schedule is centered around is what I can do to increase my chances of having success. My name is Max Heimer. I'm from Taylor, Missouri, and I exhibited the Grand Champion Purebred Gilt at the 2024 Arizona National.
Good afternoon, Phoenix, Arizona. How are you guys today? I left 15 degrees, 40-mile-an-hour blowing snow. You guys can be a little more chipper about being in 70 degrees. Okay? We got a good big show. We're going to have fun today. We've got Hunter and I have got the ones penned out that we're going to work back through. There's a few out here that remarkably 217. That Gilt's just being a knucklehead. I mean, she's stout. She's got feature. There's good parts in that particular Gilt. We can't get her to collect herself and balance from the side. Gilt over here, just a little too fragile and flat in a comparison sense. Same goes for the young man here in the Hawaiian shirt. Then the stouter Gilt over here, I need to see her travel off both ends of her body just a shot better. But a very nice class. Put your hands together for these kids as they head back. Our young lady here in the King's going to go ahead and lead the first class. And I don't want to use certain terms today, but she is without question the combination Gilt. She's the striking one from the side that's still opened up good underneath. She's good in terms of her arm shape. She's bold in her cage. She's good in her lines underneath, and she still travels with enough comfort and agility when you ask her to drive comparatively to the others within this ring. The young man's closest to me, some may say, she's the longer hipped option. She certainly is. There's no question. She is longer in every regard. That throws her off balance just a shade. That's a longer, more fragile-headed Gilt that just needs probably more time. But also for me, I just want to open that Gilt everywhere just to make her more open. Now, if you like her because her hind leg is more functional and just a shot, sure, behind that. But for me, I need to see that was just a shot more opened up. The Gilt in 3 was the problem for us because you can certainly Gilt's spread and dimension up high. She opens great at the backside of her shoulder. She's grooved up. She's shapely. She's got a big pin set. All the pieces don't match. They don't fit together and blend as well as our top two in terms of balance and build from the side. She wants to tuck her hind leg up. She's a notch lower shoulder. She's got a little bit more crest. She comes in more pieces than that top pair for us. The young man that's going to be in 4, he's got a Gilt that's got a great look up front. She's long and clean. in terms of her jawline, a gilt that's tall-fronted. That particular gilt just doesn't go good enough behind in terms of her length to her step, the comfort to her hind leg to get her up within the top three. But the same goes for the gilt here. This gilt that comes next is very well presented. She's flawless in terms of her presentation. That gilt's the most fragile about her jaw, the most fragile about her front foot, and she too wants to duck her hind leg just a notch. But a very good class. Our compliments to those kids. Obviously, those that know me, these Berkshires are near and dear to my heart. We've got a lot of them at home, and they're fun. These are good, and I'm not telling you there's a certain way that you need to make them, but if I made them to look like her, she would win, and I'd be happy with the way I made them. One lady here to my right is going to have our champion. It needed to win a few different options when you get back out there, but I'll still stay true to just build and function in kind from the side. Lady in the green, the second is going to be reserved. Third, and obviously one that's contending and fun to study. I think there's another one that's from a stoutness and a uniqueness. Looks like she could make a valuable herd boar when she finally gets herself collected. She's better there in her knees. She's better in her chest. She's better in her rib cage. The young man out of the last class will be third. We drop the next one out in that particular class. Certainly one that's big and stout. For us, there's another one that pushed our third in that decision. Lady here in the pink is going to be next. We dropped the second place out of class one, and she certainly has more shelf life and time ahead of her. Another one that just has value, and we'd like to see how this all sorts out. Super stout, super unique where she is. Lady in the orange is going to be next. think the microphone developers didn't realize I had short, fat fingers when they built these things. But another good class, a very interesting class of 5 Chesters we're going to bring back. Young lady here in the orange striped shirt, one that's stout and rugged in terms of her feature, one that I just need to see built just a little better. Young lady here in the striped blouse that comes next. You just smash her spine down, loosen her up off of both ends. Young lady here in the pink. Gilt just looks too quick and too moderate for us. Young lady with the pink or violet shirt there, one that just gets outpowered and out featured in this particular go. Young lady there in the pink polka dotted shirt, one that's short bodied for sure and square in her build, just needs to be elongated off both ends and made just a shot bigger. But a nice class, our compliments to those kids. Very good class of Chesters. Kind of falls together. Young man there in the sweater wins for fun in this particular setting. Without question, the best one from most angles. She's the best chested. She's the best constructed from the side. She's square build. She's broad back. She's well presented. She needs to win. Young lady there in the blue. That was just more functional going away. She's better coming right at you. Maybe just not as tricked out. And that's where it gets a little close. She's not as neat at the base of her throat, but hey, who am I to judge? Neither am I. But that particular Gilt, in terms of line, she's longer in her hip, more functional there than this particular Gilt here. We want to like this Gilt. She's propped up and neat in terms of her head and neck. She's good in terms of her shape. She's very raw. She's very closed up when you get into her, and that starts at the ground. But that Gilt will flesh and mature. I think the sky's the limit for that one. I'd like to make her a notch longer stepping as well. Same goes for the young lady here in the maroon. That particular Gilt's just too vertical in the set to her hock and hind leg when you get that step off to the side of her. But man, she's stout, she's robust, and very well presented. Young lady there with the blue sweater that comes out next. Certainly one that's got shape and dimension. She's just a little too stilty off both ends of her body for us to get her inside the top 4. So a great class. Our compliments to them. We look forward to seeing those top 3 again in the top 5. this particular class. That one in this setting, she's the stout, functional, good built one. Brings the extras in terms of spread, shape, and dimension. She's an easy place to start within this particular setting. Now, there's one, it's close for second in this particular class. Young lady with the blue sweater is going to go ahead and be our choice there. She's stouter armed and better coming at you. Gilt could be a little looser hinged as she goes away, and that's what made it close, but she brought some extra stoutness, a little more spread underneath than does the young lady there. Young lady in the orange certainly has one that's tall fronted, has her neck well into the top side of her shoulder. She needs to be just a little neater there and just stouter. She's got a more flexible hind leg than does our second place Gilt, but just gives up the stoutness. She's more closed there in her knee. Just need to see her stouter everywhere in that particular setting to move up. Young lady that's fourth, a stouty for sure. Big legs and robust and broad. Just need to see her better built off both ends of her to move her up inside the top trio within this competitive class. Young lady there in the green, really stout, opened up, robust. You know, from a freshness and presentation perspective, she just looks staler. And you can read that up in her head too. She's got more crest, she's got more cheek. I like to elongate her off of her hind leg. The red and blue shirt there, you know, certainly one that's you know, high-headed and fresh in terms of condition. She just needs to be better built off both ends. But a nice class. Our compliments to those kids.
Your results out of Class 5 Chester Gilts. First, Madeline Rawls of Patterson, California. Second, Declan Smith, Garland, Utah. Third, Maggie Brown, Twin Falls, Idaho. Fourth, Bailey Tucker, Turlock, California. Fifth, Emma Parker, Farmington, Arkansas. We're now showing for our champion Chester Gilt. Out of class number 1, congratulations to Pete Lucas Ferry of El Dorado, California. And coming out of class number 2, congratulations Madeline Rawls of Patterson, California. Please put your hands together for both our class winners here in our Chester Gilt division.
Really good pair of Chesters, and you know, it was funny. You know, Hunter says, "Well, there ain't gonna be one to beat the one that come out of Class 1 before we started Class 2." And Class 2, this one comes out to shoot the second time, or the second class there, and she's a hammer for sure. In my opinion, that is an almost ideal hind leg in terms of the way that it is constructed from the side. She's extra stout. One of those, you know, her under is down low. She's better there. Better in terms of the way she comes at you. She's maybe not as wild and as just fresh and broad-backed as the Class 1 winner, but man, in terms of quality animal, quality livestock, I think she's hot, and young lady out of Class 2 is going to be your champion.
Your champion, Chester Gilt, comes out of class number 2. Congratulations, Madeline Rawls of Patterson, California. That'll drop in Declan Smith of Garland, Utah for reserve contention.
We dropped that second place in, and she's actually driving and doing better than she was before, and I'm happy for that. But the young man out of Class 1 is our second favorite.
Congratulations, P. Lucas Ferry of El Dorado, California, with your reserve champion Chester Gilt. That'll drop in Lily Mann of Gatesville, Texas.
another good pair. Young lady out of the second class is going to go ahead and be next. Another nice pair, but for us, you know, the one that we'll always go back to is, as breeders and feeders, is, you know, which one would we rather, you know, tote around. The young lady there in the blue is going to be next. We'll drop that next one in, and she is wild for sure, and got the big pieces and the big parts, and I'm all about it, like I said there in the Berkshires, as long as we're not doing it to sacrifice build and just genuineness down low, and that's where it becomes a sortable decision in our opinion when we step into the ring. And for us, the one that's just more genuine down low and better built at the surface is the young lady there in the orange.
Gilt Division, your champion. Congratulations, Madeline Rawls of Patterson, California. Reserve, P. Lucas Ferry, El Dorado, California. Third, Declan Smith, Garland, Utah. Fourth overall, Lily Mann, Gatesville, Texas. Rounding out your top 5 in your Chester Gilt Division, congratulations, Maggie Brown of Twin Falls, Idaho. In the ring now is Class 6, Duroc Gilts.
a challenging class, just because when you get into that first class, you've got size differences and just maturity differences. And when you get into these ones, we're just trying to find the quality ones that, to talk about them. The big gilt here in front of us is, certainly has feature. She becomes too short in her stem off both ends. Need to freshen up and change the hind leg of the gilt here to my left. Young man there in the black was close, rope necked with a big front leg, but at the same time wants to get too far forward there in her shoulder, wants to push her hump when you get in behind her. Young lady there in the peach colored shirt's got a nice gilt, needs to be better built when you get in behind her, but another really nice class. Put your hands together for those kids as they head back. Nice trio of gilts out here. And when you get into the first class, you're trying to put things together logically. And Hunter, kind of my little holder, in the first class, the one that's on the way up, the one that we would drag and try to get ready every weekend's young man there in their black vest. He's going to go ahead and win this particular class. The stout arm, good move on rope net, square built, a nice place to start. Is she the most of anything in this particular class? She is in one thing, and that is the best looking, best built one from the side. She does not have the punch that the other two do have, but she's the better built one when you get her in motion. Lady that's got the blue shirt on, certainly one that very, very highly presented in terms of the way that she's clipped up front. That's a broad backed one that's very, very dense in terms of her texture and her body. She's good in terms of her rib cage. That gilt wants to become more vertical and shorten her step behind. But man, to the nines, a very nice gilt. She just becomes rounder and bunchier. Same goes for the gilt that's in 3. That particular gilt doesn't have the endurance to last the drive. She comes out and I thought, man, we have one here, but she gets too vertical and too short in her step off both ends for us to get her into the top pair. Young lady's gilt that comes next. I mean, her neck is a mile long. She is fresh as a daisy in this particular setting. I felt like in her shoulder, she's the gilt that's too vertical descent to her hind leg, and probably more on the right side than the left side when we see her drive. But I think a gilt that has a promising future. The young lady there in the white sweater that comes next, one that becomes just too rigid and tight off both ends of her skeleton for us. But a nice class of red gilts are compliments to those kids.
Your results out of Class 6 Duroc Gilts. Congratulations. First, Mason Curry of Denair, California. Second, Callie Johnson of Kersey, Colorado. Third, Bailey Tucker, Turlock, California. Fourth, Grace Curry, Denair, California. And fifth, Jillian Scarborough of Clovis, California. In the ring now is Class 7 Duroc Gilts.
challenging class, just differences, right? Hunter joked, he goes, whoa, we're in class 2 already, we're going to get big fast. So there's certainly that going for this particular class, the varieties, the maturity and sizes. We just got some build issues out here. Hogs that need better structure, both ends. Hogs that just need to balance and build themselves a little better. Yeah. There's some, young lady here has got a shapely, fresh looking one. She needs to be better built. On the far side, she's got a robust, big bodied one, got some air and some density. She's just flat and plain everywhere for us. That needs just a shot more feature as well. So a nice class. Put your hands together for these 6 as they head back. Perfect in this particular setting. But when I get in pickles, I'll always defer to build and flexibility and just form and function. The young man there in the purple has that in this particular class. Now, if this one had big legs, we can just saddle her up and ride her home. Because from a build and skeleton perspective, she's easily the choice within this class. She's waspy-headed, level design, and awesome moving. She needs to have a shot more feature for us in this particular class, but she's simply so much better built than the Gilt that comes next. Now, I'm going to tell you, this Gilt is just wild-headed. Could she make a more? There's no question. I think, again, Hunter, I'm trying to say the things you and I are discussing just because it makes sense to me. Like, this one just comes with 3 more issues than the Gilt that has 1. She's a little too straight there. She's a little too tight and rigid behind. That Gilt is broad, and she is dense, and she is hairy. I mean, she has those things that you want to talk about, you want to pick out. She just needs to be built better for us to get her higher. Same goes for the young lady there in 3. That thing is broad, dense, and burly. She is too wide walking and too tucked. When you get in behind her, she's a big-chested, neat-looking one. But man, we just got to make them better moving. In terms of a hind leg for us two judges to get higher within this particular class. And Showman, I promise by the end of the day I'm going to have it figured out if we're going to do fist bumps or we're going to do handshakes. But right now I haven't got it figured out yet. Young lady there with the purple bow, another one very well presented, shapely, square underneath. She too needs to be better moving. The young man there in the copper-colored, rust-colored shirt there, another one that's fresh, well presented. She too just wants to get wide walking and duck her hind leg for us within the Duroc breed for this class. My compliments to those kids. Put your hands together as they head back.
Your results out of Class 7 Duroc Yields. Congratulations. First, Dallas Martinez of Center, Texas. Second, Will Hagan, Templeton, California. Third, Parker Lerno, Templeton, California. Fourth, Josie Pearson, Altona, Utah. And fifth, Anthony Fontaine, Smartsville, California. Entering the ring now is Class 8 Duroc Yields.
Another nice class of reds, and we're still kind of dodging the maturity differences. Young lady there in the green's got a very immature one, just needs more time, more punch, more just maturity in her favor. Young lady there in the red shirt going away. Wants to funnel and playing out through her hip, a little straight there in terms of her shoulder. Young lady in the pink has got one that's real wild looking, just too frail and too closed up down low. Young lady there that has got the striped pants there, certainly one that's stout and robust, just needs to be better looking and better built for us to get her in the top 5. Interesting top 5, look forward to sorting. Put your hands together for those kids as they head back. You know, there's one thing that Hunter said, it's like, I hate fat pigs. And I'm glad he's my friend because, you know, apparently I pushed the limit for him. But when we get out here in this class, there's one balance and function and freshness perspective. She's leaps and bounds ahead of the class in this particular setting for freshness, look, presentation. Gilt is the place to start for us in this class. Young lady there in the red, you know, one that, man, she's broad, she's big in her chest, she's got a neat, stout head about her. She's pushing plenty for us. That's a, she gets tucked up and tight there in her hind leg. But man, she's broad, she's dense, she's burly, but needs to be just a notch further for us to get her up. Young lady here in the pink's got one that's very similar. She's broad, she's dense everywhere. That particular gilt doesn't have that added stoutness that matches, you know, her extra spread and her extra dimension. If that makes sense, she's just kind of just look conditioned and fat. She needs to be just stouter down low and better there in her hind leg. Young man, you've got the waspy one, and I told Hunter when she came in, man, this thing's one that he would like because she is wild-headed, fat-backed, and big-bootied. But at the same token, she needs to go better for us and balance herself. If she had a shot more flank, shot more front end, and a longer hip, those pieces would fit together. They just don't come together for us as well. Young lady there in the orange sweater, a very neat gilt from the profile. She gives up too much in terms of feature. She's just a notch too short stepping as well when you crawl in behind her. But a nice class. Put your hands together for those kids.
Your results out of Class 8 Duroc Gilts. First, congratulations to Max Heimer of Taylor, Missouri. Second, Emma Helberg, Atascadero, California. Third, Allison Vasquez, Lompoc, California. Fourth, W. Austin Ferry, El Dorado, California. And fifth, Caitlin Sophia Gonzalez, Hereford, California. Entering the ring now is Class 9 Duroc Gilts. This is our last class of Duroc Gilts. At the conclusion of this particular class, we will be selecting for our champion and reserve Duroc Gilt.
And parts that come with structural concerns or freshness issues when you get out here amongst the remaining group that's left in the ring. I hope just past prime or need built better in our opinion, but a nice class, good projects. Put your hands together for these exhibitors as they head back. very good trio of gilts that certainly have different maturity curves and places where they're good. That one pass, just like Hunter said to me, when the young man there in the blue gets her stuck and gets her going to the side, she's the best one and she wins. Very nice gilt to go ahead and use to win this particular class. The other two kind of come in pieces and parts for us, and whether it's a maturity or where they're at, the Flight of Year gilt certainly has the pieces and parts that are very fun to think about, study, and put together. I mean, that is a step head, really long neck that ties high into her shoulder, maybe just a little upright off both ends of her body. Wants to become more, mechanical, if you will, out of her hind leg. But she's fresh. She's good in terms of her head and her neck. She's awesome chested. Very, very unique in terms of her front end assembly. The same token, relative to that spread, doesn't come with as much punch or feature down low as does our third place gilt, and that's what makes that close. The third place gilt, that's a big. She's got a stout hind leg. She becomes more of a leg dragger, if you will. Wants to hesitate, doesn't want to be as long stepping as our other two. That's a relative choice because none of them are perfect there. But at the same time, one that's just a little past prime for us, but becomes a little shorter in her step. The gilt that's up front, too flat there in her front foot, wants to flip and paddle up front. A gilt that doesn't want to use her hind leg with enough flexibility and reach when you set her in motion. The gilt that comes next is fresh and very well presented. That gilt's just too closed up and too straight there on her shoulder. When she comes at you, she needs to kind of to be in 5. This gilt here, certainly one that's long necked and long hipped, huge limbs, just too flat-footed and closed when she comes at you. The next gilt there, extremely well presented and very long necked. That particular gilt's too fragile and too tied up down low. But a very nice class. My compliments to those kids.
Your results out of Class 9, Duroc Gilts. First, Holden Fieldman, Manteca, California. Second, Channing Goodson, Earlsboro, Oklahoma. Third, Holden Fieldman, Manteca, California. Fourth, Whitney Eilers, Victor, California. Fifth, Harley DeShane, Grass Valley, California. We're now ready to drive for your champion and reserve selection of your Duroc Gilt. Congratulations, Mason Curry of Denair, California. Coming out of class number 7, congratulations, Dallas Martinez, Center, Texas. Out of class number 8, congratulations, Max Heimer of Taylor, Missouri. And out of your just completed class number 9, Holt Fieldman of Manteca, California. Please put your hands together for your class winners here in your Duroc Gilt division. Introduce our judge. Our judge for the Junior Gilt Show is Mr. Doug Albright from Coldwater, Michigan. He's a graduate of Blackhawk East and Kansas State University, where he's a member of the 2008 Reserve National Champion Judging Team. Doug owns and operates Albright Swine Farms, where they run approximately 250 show pig sows and sells pork into various wholesalers. He is currently a show feed specialist for ShowRite. Doug has judged shows in 37 different states. He and his wife Dana have a 7-year-old Kaiser and a 3-year-old Nora. If you would, please put your hands together for Doug as he sorts through our Gilt show today.
the red breed, I'll be the first to admit, has been a challenge because there's pieces and there's parts and there's places where you can hang your hat. But maybe there just hasn't been those ones that just grab you and bring you together. The one that kind of grabs us and still does it with a notch more feature. The young man out of the last class will be your champion.
Your champion, Duroc Gilt, is driven by Holden Peelman of Manteca, California. That'll drop in Channing Goodson of Earlsboro, Oklahoma for reserve contention.
We bring the second out, certainly becomes a contender where she's very good. But at the same time, one that proportions as good, pushes our champion from a build and skeleton perspective. If she's just a notch down her feature, and a little better right there when she's coming at you, she can certainly push our champion all day. Young man here in the purple is going to be reserved.
Your reserve champion, Duroc Gilt, is driven by Dallas Martinez of Center, Texas. That'll drop in Will Hagen for third overall.
We drop that second place out, and she's unique for sure where she's good. I want to roll her back on her shoulder, lengthen her step just a shade. The one that we're the next most comfortable with is the young man here. She'll be third. We drop that second in, and it certainly becomes one that you can talk about in terms of her stoutness of feature and her silhouette's very good. One that just brings too many good and valuable things to the table. The young man that was second to the reserve is going to be next. There that certainly had those outlying pieces and parts. She's probably got some female temperaments that are kind of keeping her in the pen there, and that's just part and what it's at. But for us, the one that brings a lot of value is the young lady here in the pink. She's going to be next.
Once again, your results out of your Duroc Gilt division. Your champion, Holden Peelman of Manteca, California. Your reserve, Dallas Martinez, Center, Texas. Third overall, Max Heimer, Taylor, Missouri. Fourth overall, Will Hagen, Templeton, California. Fifth overall, Channing Goodson, Earlsboro, Oklahoma. In the ring now is class number 10, Hampshire Gilts. This is our only class of Hampshire Gilts.
nice class of Hampshires. Just have some structural concerns, range of motion movement that would need to be adjusted and fixed to get inside the top 5. Our compliments to these 3 as they head back to their pens. Really nice trio of Hampshires, and a breed that I don't necessarily speak fondly of often, is doing some very, very good things. And this top trio, I think, offers a lot of quality, a lot of value. And within the top pair for us, there's just some comfort, some looseness of build. It's just the ability to balance themselves just a notch better. And genuinely the stouter critter of the 2 is the young man here to my left. She's going to go ahead. That Gilt's going to go ahead and be your champion. Young man here in the purple, really broad, really, big bags. And Gilt, I think if you propped her up and stood her still, it is a very neat pig in terms of her lines. She just, I don't know if she needs to go to the bathroom or what. She needs to kind of relax and kind of put herself in a looser build and a looser motion. And for me, where I get to start studying that hog, she's fragile there in her jaw. She's a notch more fragile there in her front arm too, long term. Now the hog that I really want to get behind is this Gilt that's in 3. I mean, that thing from her hip forward is, boot scoot boogie cool. Like, I mean, that's an awesome head shape, a fat back, square built underneath. She becomes the most swiveled and shortest in her step, out of her hind leg of that initial trio. Her back, I think, could be very, very high long term, and as she gets set into motion, it gets more comfortable, she gets more mature. That's a very good Hampshire Gilt. Young lady that comes in 4 here, one that's broad and it's got all the muscle you could ever ask for in one. She becomes the roundest hipped, the roundest shouldered, lowest fronted of our initial 4. And then a very, Hampshire-esque in terms of meat animal shape and muscularity that the young lady in 5th has. Gilt that just needs to be leveler and better built from the side. But a very good class. My compliments to those kids. Put your hands together as they all head back.
Your results out of Class 10 Hampshire Gilts. Your first place and champion, Max Heimer of Taylor, Missouri. Second and reserve, Bentley Ellis of Williamsburg, Kansas. Third, Madeline Parker, Dewey, Oklahoma. Fourth, Emma Ott, Aurora, Nebraska. And fifth, Kendall Tetrick of Pomeroy, Washington. In the ring now is Class 11, Hereford and Tamworth Gilts. This is our only class of Hereford and Tamworth Gilts.
Nice class of Hereford Tamworths. And this gilt here in front of me is close. Becomes just a notch too rigid off both ends of her body. The young man over here has got a Tamworth. It's just a little too past prime. Could use a shot of belly and to balance better. The Hereford gilt to my left. Just a little too mangy and past prime, needs some belly. The tan gilt, or the blonde gilt that's next, just needs to be better built there in her rear joints. But a nice class. My compliments to those kids as they head back. They'll rework the top three. Not here to throw the baby out with the bathwater. When you set these things into the ring, young man there with the vest on is going to go ahead and be our champion. That's the stout show pig within this particular setting. That's wild necked and big backed. Yes, she needs to be a shot better, but she just offers so much more punch, power, and feature than does the blonde gilt that's going to go ahead and be reserved. Very nice from the side when you start to set this gilt into motion across the surface. She's flexible and she's comfortable, but she's off the narrow, frail, flatter construction initial trio. Felt like she was still the better built option though than our gilt that's going to be third overall Tamworth / Hereford. This gilt's really neat looking. She's got a huge back. He needs to have more belly. He needs to be longer hipped to get her around that top pair. The Hereford that's next is very good in terms of front foot and rib cage shape. She needs to have more depth of belly and length out of her hip. And then we have the Tam that's next. Nice from the side, just gets outpowered in this class of 5, but a very good class. Our compliments to those exhibitors.
Your results out of your Hereford Tamworth Gilt division. Your champion, congratulations, Ethan Parker of Farmington, Arkansas. Second, Drake Jasso of Dos Palos, California. Third, W. Austin Ferry of El Dorado, California. Fourth, Caleb Hackbart, Seward, Nebraska. And fifth, Joey Widmer of Ripon, California. In the ring now is Class 12 Landrace Gilts.
Hunter, you're only 50 today. Very good, guys. I mean, depth and quality within this particular breed has been absolutely tremendous, and I'm excited to get our champion back out when we get the top 5 put together, because I'm telling you, this thing can flat boogie. Young lady here in the pink's got your champion, a very, very nice one to go ahead and win. Now the reserve is dressed to the nines. There's no question. She comes with a shot more hair texture and feature. From a balance and build perspective, she becomes the lower shoulder, grounder hip option within the particular setting. Fit, obviously, real hot. She becomes rounder hipped. She's flatter bodied than our champion when you dig into them. But man, I will tell you, for a pair of Landrace Gilts, that's very, very high quality. Lady here in the center in the black is going to go ahead and be next. And that one's tall fronted and very shapely, long necked, and as fresh headed as any within this particular class. She becomes the most rigid and tightest out of her hip and hind leg of the top trio. But her freshness, her presentation, her look up front makes her very, very compelling in our opinion. Young with the sweater that's going to come across. Man, most times you're going to have a big body, practical Landrace skill. You can get right in behind those kinds. Within this setting, she is the most fragile. She is the most, frail at the surface and becomes the most rigid once you set her into motion. But man, that's a very class of 4 Landrace. Put your hands together, crowd here in Phoenix. On a job well done for those kiddos.
Your results out of Class 12 Landrace Gilts. First in your champion, Addison Horn of Hallsville, Texas. Reserve, Clara Kowalski, Bend, Oregon. Third, Kara Statson, Paso Robles, California. And fourth, Clara Brown, also of Paso Robles, California. Entering the ring now is Class 13 Poland China Gilts. Attention in the barn. While it may be posted that we will start with the Crossbred Gilt show tomorrow morning at 7 a.m., we will actually start that show at 8 a.m. The Crossbred Gilt show will start tomorrow morning at 8 a.m.
these Polish Chinese are very, very good. Young lady here in the green, that's a good critter. She's going to be our champion. Balance and just comfort level and just sheer structural integrity. And then you combine that with a waspy look and a cool build. I mean, that's a fun one to discuss for sure. Young lady, this is a very good animal as well. If you want to break down a few pieces and parts, you can make an argument. She's stronger spine. She's got more spread. She's got more caboose when you crawl in behind her, but she doesn't come with those extras of feature and arm and her hind leg, just not near as comfortable, wild built for this particular breed as is our champion. But that's a high quality pair for sure. Young lady gets a big attaboy from me in terms of fighting this thing and getting her all the way up. And I told her even with a knee brace, she's faster than me. And that Gilt's short body, tall fronted, square in terms of her hind leg set. Doesn't have those extras in wow and shape and dimension up high, but a very, very good Gilt to round in 3. Young man that's next, he's got one that's on the upswing. Tall fronted, shapely, definitely works some muscle into the equation. But with the comparative in this class, she gets out boned, out powered, out fleshed. And if we could make her just a notch looser behind, that'd be more ideal as well. Man, and there in the blue certainly has a bigger Gilt than our Gilt that's in 4. It just doesn't come, looking peakless. She's thicker neck, she's lower shouldered, doesn't tie as neat together from the side. Young man that's next, got a very unique Gilt. Chest and look, and looks like she could certainly go make a Barra, but just doesn't have the flesh and flexibility as is some of the Gilts that are ahead of her. And the Gilt that rounds us out. Just the plainest option within this class. She's the roundest out of her hip and the narrow when you get underneath her. But a very good class. My compliments to those kids. Please congratulate them as they head back.
Your results on a Class 13 Poland Gilts. Your first place and your champion. Congratulations, Macy Walker of Red Oak, Oklahoma. Second, and your reserve, Emma Hampton of Florence, Arizona. Third, Lily Reeves, Brawley, California. Fourth, Carson Mendoza, Modesto, California. And fifth, Alex Mendoza, also of Modesto, California. Entering the ring now is Class 14 Spot Gilts.
Very high-end class of spots, elite pair on the top end we're going to work through here. But hogs that are left out here need to be better built and from a structural perspective or balance better. The young lady does a fine job. That Gilt's just too low shouldered and doesn't balance as well. The young lady in the white, another one that needs to be longer. And then the young lady here in the pink, extra stout, more balance when we set her off from the side. But a very nice class. Put your hands together for those 3 that are going to head back.
It's hilarious. You're not the first. It's a high-end pair of spotted gilts that definitely deserve some evaluation and some thought. And when you do that, I think it becomes just a shot more clear. And our champion just swallows the reserve, and our classman, swallows our reserve when you get on top of them. In terms of spread, mass, ribcage shape, feature down low, she's just stouter everywhere, and they're built, very similar from the side. And honestly, our classman is just a little more fluid and flexible from her hock way down the surface. And Lady Bye will be our class winner in this particular go. Not to take anything away, because this gilt here is a little neater there at the base of her throat. She's probably just maybe a shot better there in her chest, and that is a neat looking proportionate piece of livestock when you prop her up to the side. Set in motion, she becomes a more rigid, tighter moving gilt, especially there and into her hind leg. But man, that's a great pair of spotted gilts. I look forward to see how they fit together when we get back out here for our champion drive. The young lady in the red, one that's, man, she's tall front, got a great look, skin, heat, and hair, and presentations, very, very good. She's short-bodied and very neat. I think she could make, spotted barras, but she needs to be better out of her hip and hind leg. She's the shortest of the initial 3 out of her hip. In terms of her, from her hooks back and pins down, she wants to tuck her hind leg as well. The louder, more cheetah marked gilt that's here, very youthful, and on the way up, she's got a big chest. She's more flexible than the gilt that's going to be in 5. But compared within this class, she's the gilt that's the driest. She's the more off-balance gilt when you view her from the profile. The gilt that's in 5, if you want to make the argument that she can be 4th because she's taller fronted, I can get behind that. She wants to be more rigid out of her hind leg as well. I need to drop her belly and give her more flesh. But I think a great class. My compliments to those kids on a job well done.
Your results out of Class 14 Spot Gilts. First, Clara Kowalski, Bend, Oregon. Second, Mackenzie Rigney, Pittsburgh, California. Third, Kaylee Eater, Whitman, Arizona. Fourth, Mason Curry, Denair, California. Fifth, Blake Rubo, Salinas, California. Entering the ring now is our second and final class of Spot Gilts.
tie in, taller fronted, be neater looking from the side. But man, she's got feature and squareness and build for sure. The wild marked one is tall fronted, just needs to be opened up underneath. And the young lady here in front of me, nice, productive, big bodied one, just needs to have more skeletal width. But a nice class. Our compliments to those kids. Logical place to go is the young lady here in the pink. She's the one that needs to win. Neat look and a fat back and a big caboose when you crawl in behind that one. She's square in her pin set. She's the best going away within this particular class. You know, she becomes just a little out in her elbow from an Healy standpoint. You want to stout her front foot. But man, fresh-headed, fat back, well presented, nice play. The challenge was for second. The hands for us is the best one of the remaining duo from behind. She's broader in her pin set. When you get off to the side, she's more collected in her spine. She's leveler and more correct from her hook down. She's the one for us that just more closely follows our class winner. The young lady has done a fine job driving pigs today, and that one's got a beautiful head shape. She's soft-centered. She's comfy in her step, but change the way she's constructed when you get in behind her. She wants to funnel and taper from the hooks back. She's also the flattest in her stifle and next going away. Man's Gilt, that's fourth. Really neat looking. She's obviously at a weight performance distance. She's very attractive, an awesome arm shape. She wants to funnel going away. She needs to have more belly and more balance from the side. The young man's fifth place Gilt definitely has shape and dimension. She's the most constricted. When you set her in motion, I'd like to lengthen her off both ends of her skeleton. But a very good Gilt to round us in fifth. Looking forward to the champion spotted drive.
Your results out of Class 15, Spot Gilts. First, congratulations, Channing Goodson of Earlsboro, Oklahoma. Second, Brock Hammock, Perkins, Oklahoma. Third, Kiera Cohn, Merced, California. Fourth, Carson Doherty, Hollister, California. Fifth, Ty Lindman, San Ardo, California. We will now drive for our champion selection of our Spot Gilts. Coming out of Class 14, congratulations, Clara Kowalski, out of Bend, Oregon. And out of your just completed Class 15, congratulations, Channing Goodson of Earlsboro, Oklahoma. If you would please put your hands together for both your class winners here in our Spot Gilt division.
the spotted breed is certainly one that I wish I could compete in back home making them, but it's not for lack of effort, it's just a lack of ability, I guess. But if I could make them, I'd want them to look like that one. Young lady's just going to probably the most decision of the day is for a reserve spot here, because I think quality discussion, and it's certainly worth our time to sort them out. One that's just a shot more comfortable in a rear joint, a rear step. Maybe's a little more out in her elbow. One's a little neater at the base of her throat, taller shouldered, but man, she's just not as comfy out of her rear joints at other ones. So I think there's some give and take. Young lady in pink is going to be a reserve. To be a bad poker player, yes, we bring in the next one, and that's a very good pig. The young lady here clearly is our third favorite. At the young lady there in the red, stout featured, really neat in some places, but from an balance and build perspective, the young man here is going to be next. Certainly some give and take amongst this pair. One that's just harder to build within this breed from the front 1/3 of her body. The young lady here in the red is going to be next.
Your results out of your spot Gilt division. Congratulations, your champion belongs to Clara Kowalski of Bend, Oregon. Reserve, Janine Goodson, Earlsboro, Oklahoma. Third, Mackenzie Rigney, Edgeburg, California. Fourth, Brock Hammock, Perkins, Oklahoma. And fifth overall, Kaylee Eider, Whitman, Arizona. In the ring now is our first of 2 Yorkshire Gilt classes.
Yorkshires. A lot of a big bag of Skittles, if you will. Sizes are different, builds are different, kinds are different. All the ones that are left, we just need to be better structured or better built when we view them from the side to last the long hauls of this particular drive. I think there's some pieces and parts that'll be interesting to see how they mature, but as a whole, the ones that are left just need to be better constructed, better ribbed, to be more competitive within this group of 5. My congratulations. Put your hands together for those kids as they head back. I think you have a pair of Gilts that are very similar. Both need to move better, I'll be very honest with you. One's just a notch stouter, and that's the young lady here in the red. She's got the more features, she's got a bigger hind leg, she's got a bigger arm. Broader when you get into the center portions of particular Gilts. Man, I'll let her. Almost to the end of the day, I'll get her figured out. Young lady in the green's got one that's maybe just a notch taller shouldered if you want to dig into it, but at the same time, that particular Gilt needs to move better. So does our class winner. She just doesn't come with as much feature as does our class winner. But I think a nice pair to go ahead and lead that class. This Gilt, I told Hunter, I said, man, I really want to like this one. From the side, she's the most striking. She ties her head the neatest and the best in the top side of her shoulder. She's as level as correct, and she's the longest tipped of that initial 3. But man, that view coming at you or going away, simply it's too one-dimensional. She comes in her knees, she funnels to the ground off both ends. But man, from the side, she's a neat piece of livestock for this particular color and breed. Young lady there with the rust-colored sweater on, certainly a stout one. She's robust and she drops out the spine with rib cage and flesh. She too is one that wants to come together at her knee. She's the lowest shouldered of our initial 4. That just throws her off balance when you view her from the side. The young lady in 5, definitely one that has stoutness. She's noggin Gilt, she's got a big arm about her. That Gilt's also the lowest fronted and the tightest moving when you start to view her hind. But I think a very, very good class, a fun pair to discuss on the top. Put your hands together for those kids in the first.
Your results out of Class 16 Yorkshire Gilts. First, Emma Helberg out of Escondido, California. Second, Taylor Horn, Hallsville, Texas. Third, Gage Gehring, Ocampo, California. Fourth, Kaylin Sophia Gonzalez, Hanford, California. Fifth, Natalie Thompson, Laveen, Arizona. Entering the ring is Class 17, our last and final class of the Purebred Gilt Show. Following this class, we will have our selection of our top 5 Yorkshire Gilts, and then we will select our top 10 Purebred Gilts.
There's got 6 that we're going to rework. Young lady there in the blue's got one that has a very cool head shape. She's stout-jawed and wide-eyed. But Gilt becomes the off-balanced one that's too short there in her upper hip. Young man here's got a hairy, stout one, too round and too short in her step. Same goes for the young man that's off to my left. Gilt that's broad-backed, just needs to go better behind. And then the young man here in the blue, big, tall, elongated Gilt that's broody for sure. I just need to see her go better as well. Good class. My compliments to those kids on a job well done.
This particular breed that's maybe not what you were expecting. The first class had its ups and downs, and the quality was nice, but not as deep as the top 4 or 5 in this particular class. Definitely some discussion that we were having between our first and second within this class, and they're different. And that's maybe the problem that I have as evaluators. They're not the same, but I came here to find the quality first, and then we try to put them together. There's one that's just a shot more comfortable. She's taller shouldered, she's neater looking, she's stout, she's really unique where she's good. The young lady 1172 is going to be her class winner in this particular go. The young man in the blue is going to be next. And that one, from a proportionality perspective, is very good. She's broad, she's dense, she's square-chested, bud. You can give her a break. We got to drive her here in a minute. She's square in her build. Where she kind of plants her back left is a notch better, maybe than our class winner. She's not as tall-fronted. She's not as athletic as that particular pair. The gilt is going to be in 3. There's pieces and parts to that particular gilt that you certainly can get behind. The stoutness to her heel, the stoutness to her foot and her front arm is very good. And that reach true relative to her head. That's a broad noggin and a stout jawline. She's not as tall fronted. She becomes the rounder side of her hip, and we took a little bit long to maybe sort that particular trio. The young lady here in the purple, that is a tall fronted, heavy legged type of Yorkshire female. But she becomes the shortest stepping of the initial 4. As you set her in motion, she's also the blandest, maybe just a little past prime from a condition standpoint. The gilt that's next, heavy-legged and stout from the side. That gilt also is the shortest out of her upper hip and the shortest in the step to her rear leg out here. The gilt that's going to round us out is the same. She's got a very neat look, very capably driven out here. She's the freshest, if you will, in terms of her head and her face, but she's short out of her hip, and consequently, her step is the most constricted out of her hind leg. An interesting class of Yorkshires. My compliments to those kids. Put your hands together as they head back.
Your results out of Class 17 Yorkshire Gilts. First, Kinley Hikus of Olathe, Kansas. Second, Holden Peelman, Manteca, California. Third, Manny Gomez, Hickman, California. Fourth, Palin Miller, Coquille, Oregon. Fifth, Emma Ott, Aurora, Nebraska. We will now drive for our champion selection of our Yorkshire Gilts. Coming out of Class 16, congratulations, Emma Helberg of California. And out of your just completed Class 17, Kinley Hikus of Olathe, Kansas. Please put your hands together for both of our exhibitors here in our Yorkshire Gilt lineup.
Both of those class winners are very, very fun and beat some good ones in their class. There's one that's very unique and hard to make within that breed for her front end assembly, her chest and her head and her neck. When you get her to the side and she gets her going at the right pace, she's hard to put a hole in within this particular breed. The young lady of the last class will be champion. We bring the second place out, and she was certainly very close within that pair. Her proportionate build from the side, her head, her shape, her body cavity presented perfectly from a condition standpoint. One that we thought long and hard about within that particular pair. She's our second favorite. She'll be reserved. Drop the third out. That's certainly a very good gilt in their own right. Becomes a little stovey and tight there for us. The one that silhouettes better from the side is the young lady in the red. She's going to be next. get out here, and we've got a pair that I think are very neat. There's one that's just a notch stouter jawed, stouter headed young man there, and the pink's going to be next.
Your results out of your Yorkshire Gilt show. Congratulations, your champion comes out of Class 17, Kinley Hikus of Olathe, Kansas. Reserve, Holden Thielman, Manteca, California. Third, Emma Helberg, California. Fourth, Manny Gomez, California. Rounding out your top 5 in your Yorkshire Gilts, Taylor Horn of Texas. Nieto Agribusiness LLC. Thank you to our sponsors. We are now ready to drive for our top 10 selection of our Purebred Gilt Show. Coming out of our Berkshire division, congratulations to Clara Kowalski of Bend, Oregon. Our champion, Chester White, is driven by Madeline Rawls of Patterson, California. Congratulations, our champion Duroc Gilt belongs to Holden Thielman of Manteca, California. Your champion Hampshire, Max Heimer of Taylor, Missouri. The champion Hereford Tamworth Gilt belongs to Ethan Parker of Farmington, Arkansas. Your champion Landrace, Addison Horn of Hallsville, Texas. Your champion Poland, China, congratulations Macy Walker of Red Oak, Oklahoma. Your champion Spot Gilt is driven by Clara Kowalski of Bend, Oregon. And your champion Yorkshire Gilt, congratulations Kenley Hikus of Olathe, Kansas. Please put your hands together for all of our breed winners. Your judges for today's Purebred Gilt Show. Doug Albright is from Coldwater, Michigan. He's a graduate of Black Hawk East and Kansas State University, where he was a member of the 2008 Reserve National Champion Livestock Judging Team. Doug now owns and operates Albright Swine Farms, where they run approximately 200
you guys can park these just for a second. We're gonna check the crowd over here. How are we doing over here now? That was getting a little better. How about over there? How about the peanut gallery back there? They all had drinks up. Yeah, I get you. Guys, it's been a very good pig show. What I expected for sure out here in terms of high quality purebred gilts. I know we have the crossbred gilts tomorrow, and you know, there's some of you guys might go home. Hunter came and did showmanship, and really honored to have Hunter come with me. I work with Hunter, but you know, we judge similar. We talk a lot about show pigs, and the conversation's been enjoyable, to say the least, about what we think about these and the words that how he wants to describe one, or what that pig makes him think of, things like that. So those are good. He's going to judge them all. So give Hunter a big round of applause for earlier today and helping me out today. I know we've got the crossbred show, but I'd be remiss if I didn't say thanks to the crew back home. You know, my wife and kids, parents, everybody at the farm that's getting things done. We had a pig sale yesterday, and clipped 60 more, and do it all again here in a week. So it's just it's a busy, crazy time of year. But it's that way for everybody, right? This is a busy, crazy time of year, and it is every week. But we're here because we know that it's to make the next generation better. There's no way that you parents would go drop 10, 15,000 just to come. I'm not even talking about the price of the pig, okay? Right? I mean, I make a living selling feed for those pigs, right? So I'm not dogging any of those things, but I'm telling you, we do it for the reason, because we love the competition and we want to make these kids better. So if you do that and you remember those things, your life can be a little bit better. If you think about why you're doing it every day, life will be just a little bit better. Think about why you're doing it. I want to win just as bad as the next guy, but we're here because this is the greatest place to raise young people, period. And you guys all know that. Guys, it's been a very good pig show. I don't need to belabor this. Kids, enjoy this. Enjoy the good weather. Fire these things up. Hunter and I are going to go out there and select what we think is a champion that is fun to look at, and in my opinion, undeniable. We'll come back to the mic. We'll let Hunter talk. But guys, it's been fun. Before any of these people back here leave, put your hands together for the crew in the back that's putting this all together.
You guys can keep driving these. I'm not going to give a big long speech. We'll maybe say some remarks later on. And I talked to the showmanship guys about how excited I was to do it myself out there and then share the ring with someone like Doug. You can grab the microphone, you can say a lot of different things that are cliche, but like Doug said, we work together every single day. We genuinely see livestock extremely similar, so I was had this thing circled for a long, long time. And Doug's a good friend of mine, a mentor for sure. I was excited to have conversation out here, and I'm not saying we agreed on every single decision that we did in those respective classes, but that's what makes this stuff fun, guys. It's subjective, it's tough, and we know we're in the trenches with you. Whether you're breeding them, you're feeding them, you're climbing them, these things are hard to do. And have a success at this elite of a level, we get you guys. We're on the other side of it a lot more than we're out here on them. So we thought that champion was lights out good. I think there's more discussion as you get into reserve contention. I'll put the microphone down. Like I said, we'll give you a little bit of a speech later on, but I tell you what, thank the people that are here. Give your parents a high five and hug. Let's be positive this week, whether we win or we get beat. So let's have a positive outlook on life. Thank the people that are out here. Give it up one more time. We'll give you a big round of applause for your reserve.
Your reserve coming out of the Berkshire division, congratulations, Clara Kowalski. That'll drop in Lexi Quick for third overall contention.
Need to overtime these things. We bring the reserve Burke as an immediate contender, that reserve spot's an immediate contender. We start thinking about these things for their breed, what they represent and how good they are. There's one that trips my trigger. Even though she can't sport driving, Landrace is third best in my mind.
Your third overall comes out of your Landrace division. Congratulations, Addison Horn. That'll drop in Clara Kowalski's reserve Landrace Gilt. Once again, your champion overall purebred gilt comes out of the spot division. Congratulations, Clara Kowalski. Your reserve is your champion Berkshire, also Clara Kowalski. Third overall was your champion Landrace. Congratulations, Addison Horn. Fourth overall, your reserve spot, shown by Channing Goodson. Fifth overall, your reserve Berkshire, Lexi Quick. Sixth, Mackenzie Rigney. Seventh, Macy Walker. Eighth, Max Heimer. Ninth, Kinley Hikus. 10th, Madeline Rawls. Congratulations to all of our purebred gilt exhibitors. Just a reminder, exhibitors, the Crossbred Gilt Show will start at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning.